Now we will have a presentation by Bernd Decker on the application and evaluation processes in general, so covering all the different calls for proposals that we have presented so far. So I would invite my colleague Bernd Decker from CINEA unit, Life Unit for Climate and Energy to join us. Hi, Bernd. And you can start your presentation on application and evaluation processes. Thank you. Oh, sorry, Bernd. Just a small thing I forgot. Can you please participate in the poll as we did for all the information sessions? I would ask the audience to let us know what they thought about the nature and biodiversity information session that they just saw. Sorry about that, I forgot. But please give us your feedback and just let us know if you were satisfied with the information you received during this information session. It takes just a few seconds in Slido. Thanks a lot, and then I'll pass the floor to Bernd.
Let's keep 1 minute more so that colleagues, applicants, potential applicants can fill in the evaluation. I see very satisfied participants, but maybe we start now with the next presentation. My name is Bernd Decker, Head of Sector of the Climate Action Subprogram of LIFE. So you will hear naturally a little bit more from climate perspective, but I try to cover also the other two subprograms who are involved in standard action project or have standard action projects in their menu. I will guide you through the application process for standard action process projects and provide you with insights in the approach and the steps of the application and how CINEA or we at CINEA evaluate your proposals. You heard the entire day today already the priorities for the 3 subprograms, the policy priorities and the call priorities. So I will sort of build on those ones. But with this presentation, I will, and given the limited time, I will only scratch the surface. So you would have to check for further information, for example, with your national contact points in your countries, whether they organize national info days. And I think most of the national contact points organize such info days. And some of them even writers' workshops, and they are particularly valuable because the experts there would go in very much into detail of what I will just briefly scratch here. So the first slide, please. I would like to create a hypothetical example. Imagine there's an owner of a medium-sized logistics company running a logistics distribution hub outside a large city somewhere in Europe. The company is specialized on covering the last urban mile mainly, but also does goods distribution in the region. And during the recent years, the company was confronted with various challenges. Their light and some heavy-duty vehicles have come into age. The cost of the fuel is constantly increasing, and they are trying to find solutions. The new low-emission zone in the city to reduce noise and improve air quality is also a bottleneck now for the aging fleet. The employees have complained last year already, and this year again about the increased heat stress, not only in summer, but now starting also in the spring at the distribution hub. And overall, the owner wants to convert the company to a climate and environmentally friendly entity. So the company owner, her name maybe is Gabi, knows about the similar problems of distribution hub owners in other cities, and she also wants to tackle the challenges at a larger scale, maybe together with them. So Gabi has a dream. She would like to replace the combustion engine trucks with electric vehicles. She wants to install a high power and smart recharging station on the yard. She wants to introduce a new IT system and make goods distribution more effective in the city. She wants to install a PV installation and maybe green the distribution hub and the surroundings with nature-based solutions. Her daughter even wants to plan keeping bees and plan a beekeeping hive there. And of course, she wants to exchange experience with other companies. But the company's accountant considers the risks too high, is afraid of losing the competitiveness of the company due to the potentially increased costs. So who could help the company to cover the risk of demonstrating greener logistics? Would maybe Life be able to help Gabi? So all of you in front of your computers, take a piece of paper and write yes or a maybe or a no on this piece of paper, and also write which sub-program would be best suited to cover such ideas. So next slide, please. Of course, it's a yes. And under climate change mitigation, in this case, we have a priority for actions to support the shift to zero-emission mobility in road transport, and the company could apply under this priority and would be considered even very relevant. All those ones who have followed the session this morning from 9 o'clock onwards should know this. So next slide, please. And after various research of various EU funding programs, the company owner considers Life as a suitable funding program, similar to the project representatives who were speaking today in and explaining and how they engaged with Life and how they found Life. So you have in the funding and tenders portal, and really I just very briefly for those who are really newcomers and do not yet know where to look for the information, you go to the EU funding and tender portal. Any search engine should point you immediately to the right portal, and there you have an overview of a collection of all the calls which are currently open and running across the EU. And there you have to find the right call, of course. On the left side, you find the right, I mean, if you click Life, you would find the Life program. And in the Life program, you would find a number of different options under the 2021-2027 call. And there you would have to find now or decide on the right priority, the right sub-program, and then also the right topic. In this case, the company owner rightly considers the climate change mitigation as potentially the right one and thinks the best chances to submit something would be here. So one more slide, please, for in terms of the funding and tender portal. So when you click on the specific topic, you will get more information on climate change mitigation in this case. On the left side, you have the internal navigation for the general information about the call, meaning when is was the opening date, when is the deadline. Then you have a description of the topic. You can again check whether it's really falling into the right priority. You have also updates on the topics, and you have many more information on that site. And if you click then on, so just make a further click, because there should a box be appearing on the top. Next slide, please. Yes. So when you confirm your choice, you would then be able to move into the next steps for submitting then the right proposal. But before that, you should first really go into the supporting documents and in particular the call document. The previous 3 sessions were highlighting on the importance of the call documents, because the call documents, they contain in chapter 2 also the priorities of the call. Next slide, please. So there is one call document per life subprogram for the Standard Action Project. So please, in case you are not 100% sure for which subprogram your idea would fit, and this constructed example I presented, it could also maybe be a valuable example under circular economy, quality of life, under air quality. It could maybe even fit under nature-based solutions, maybe not under nature biodiversity, but you have elements of this. So check the different call documents if you're not sure whether you are on the right priority. In the next slide, I will show you quickly the overview of the call document to guide you through a little bit. So don't be afraid. Unfortunately, the call document is only available in English language. Today there are many translation tools if you are not familiar with certain text parts or jargon in this. But I would again advise you also to contact your national contact points. In some member states, there's even a translation of this call document. So in the first chapter, the call document describes the background. Again, what is the LIFE program and the key features of the 4 sub-programs of the LIFE program. So nature biodiversity, circular economy, quality of life, climate change mitigation, adaptation, and clean energy transition. And then chapter 2 is the type of actions. This is where you read about the priorities. So the objectives, the themes and the priorities, the activities which can be funded, and the expected impact we would like to see. So here you should really carefully read, is your proposal addressing those priorities, and would that be the right subprogram to submit it? And within the subprogram, you have then the different priorities. Would be that the right priority? Then in the chapter 3, there is an overview of what is available in terms of budget. Then chapter 4, you have the timetable and the deadlines, which are synchronized for the major calls this year. In chapter 5, you have information about the admissibility and the documents which are required to be submitted. Chapter 6 describes the eligibility of, for example, the participants, whether you are an eligible country. It explains a little bit about the consortium composition, well, not also competition, but composition. The eligible activities, but some of them already have been described in the previous session, and also the geographic location, the target countries, because sometimes we have exceptions where activities can also take part maybe outside the European Union. Then chapter 7, you have a longer chapter on the financial operational capacity and exclusion, which is also important for you to see and consider. Are you able to engage in such a massive project, which requires also a certain financial viability? Then in chapter 8, we have the evaluation and award procedures. So we disclose to you how we evaluate your proposal. And here, particularly here, I mean, also in the other parts, you will find couple of updates compared to previous call text. So the award criteria, they have not changed as such, but they have been adjusted a little bit. So please be careful. As already mentioned this morning and yesterday, we have a new multi-annual work program which started in April this year, and this is the first call under the new multi-annual work program, and we did some adjustments. So chapter 9, then we explain you more about the award criteria. And when you do a click, there will be an arrow looking at or pointing at the important chapter number 2. So next slide, please. And again, next slide, please. Yes, thank you. So the remaining part of the call document is then the legal and financial setup of the grant agreements. And I would also recommend you to look at the model grant agreement to see what are you engaging with, and is your hierarchy really willing also then to sign such a grant agreement with the conditions we have put in the grant agreement. This is not for discussion. You will have to comply with the rules set out in the agreement. So please take a detailed look into this one. And then there's an explanation how you can submit the application and some further information where you can find help and some links. Good. So Gabi is now convinced, and she is sure she can meet all those conditions, and is also taking a bit the risk she's taking with such a proposal. Because she has to put her own money into it, meaning at least 40% her own contribution, and she has to find it, of course, and cover this because those are the rules of the program. But she realized, compared to other funding programs, and we heard this also this morning, that there is great flexibility with the LIFE program, which would allow her, in terms of the duration, in terms of the budget, also in the continuity of the priorities, which is very well fitting for her proposal. So she then now would like to start creating a proposal. Next slide, please. Let's have a look at, very briefly, at the application forms, how it looks like, what you should be careful with. Next slide, please. So again, when you click on creating a proposal in the funding and tender portals under the submission service, you have many fields to fill. It can be confusing, maybe, in the beginning, if you are not familiar with such a system, if you never have applied for in such a system, maybe you need to ask for support, and there are many organizations out there who would then also provide you with the respective support. If it's the first time, you would have to register your organization with and receive such something called a PIC number. It's an identification code, and that one you would fill in. Next click, please. The second click, please. So that's where you would fill in the PIC number you would have received. If you have already applied previously in an EU program, for example, Horizon, you may have already a PIC, and you just fill it in, and certain information will be then pre-filled. Then you would also fill in your short name, and start filling in the various fields in this format. And on the left side, and with the left click, you see the various supporting documents or supporting links where you can help. So next click, please. And next click, please. Yes. So that's where you will find help. And just above, when you click on the download the Part B templates, this is where you would actually get the template in which you would write the proposal. So now we go further. Yes, please go further. So the proposal is structured in 3 main parts. So the part A are so-called administrative forms. So the previous slides was already indicating sort of the administrative form. So this is to be filled out inside the submission portal and submission system. Then there is the part B, which is the technical description. That was the link where you download the application forms. And then we have a part C, which are the so-called live performance indicators. So the system and my slide and probably many documents will have to be updated. So the live performance, not performance project indicators are now the is the system or is the part C. Next slide, please. So going back to the part A, what is required from you to fill into the part A? So we ask you for general information. You will have maybe already an acronym of your proposal. The acronym is usually followed by a title where you describe in one line what your project is about. Then you have a couple of fields. You choose your panel, and then there's also a field where you choose something like a descriptor. This is supposed to help us then placing your proposal into the right bucket and selecting the right evaluation experts, independent evaluation experts. So this descriptor is helping us to categorize your proposal. So take a bit of a look which one comes closest to your proposal. And then you have the abstract, a box for the abstract and the project summary. I have put it in bold here because often the abstract is written in the last minute, or today you probably use ChatGPT or some other AI tool. Briefly summarize my proposal, and not much attention is put to that one. But this is your business card. It's the business card of the proposal. This is the first text which is read of your proposal, and as more precise you write about your objectives or the background, your objectives, your targets and expected results and impacts, as better your proposal will shine when it goes to the various services for checking, and they will often only read the abstracts. Then you fill in the participants of your proposal. So you have a form for each of the participants and organizational data of the participants. And the third part is the budget. And I know this is quite a challenging effort because, I mean, sometimes you have distributed the budget already before you have written a proposal. Well, here that's a place where probably until the last minute you will have to polish, and there will be demands from partners. So this is probably some place where you have to take care really after the last minute before the submission of the proposal. Now we go to part B, the next slide. So the part B is now the document which you download. It's in rich text format, which contains a cover page, a table of contents, then the project summary. It's later taken from this part A. And here, please watch out. We have put clear page limits, and we have a limit on the character size because we want to guarantee equal treatment for all the proposals. So do not remove instructions, please, because that could potentially be not be helpful for your proposal, in particular if you exhaust the page limits, because we will cut the last pages of the proposal if you overrun this and you remove the instructions. Next slide, please. And then you have the main chapters of the proposal. 4 main chapters: relevance, impact, quality, resources. So I will go quickly through those these chapters. And at the same time, I already put the award criteria against we are going to evaluate your proposal on the right side. So under the relevance, and this relates then very much to the chapter 2 of the call document, there you describe to us the frame of your proposal. We very often see excited applicants. They have the solution in front of them and they are so excited about their solution, and maybe it is an exciting solution, that they forget to write about this framework. They forget to write properly write about the background and the pre-operational context. So this is something you need to be very careful with. We want to know where's your starting point, what are your challenges, and in case of our example of Gabi, she needs to describe what are the challenges, that there is a new low emission zone established, that the fuel costs have increased, that she wants to reduce the CO2 emission of her fleet, and so on. So this should be described here and potential, if possible, already in quantified formats. Then you would describe your general objectives and go to the specific objectives of the proposal. So you describe what you intend to do. Maybe you want to build, or Gabi wants to build a megawatt charger for long distance trucks, which hardly exist at the moment. So she wants to be very innovative, and you have heard about innovation. Maybe she wants to put directional charging so that the batteries of the fleets parking during night can be used in a smart grid network. Then you heard about her ideas about the nature-based solutions, what she wants to put there, and about the air quality issues. And then suddenly she maybe gets lost in all these different activities. So here again, the advice, stay focused, be ideally on one or very few objectives, and follow a red thread throughout the full application on this. And this is very important, what we call the overall intervention logic. So we look at how the concept, the methodology, and the soundness of it is described in your proposal, and this has a relatively high value in the evaluation. Then we also look at how you upscale your results of other EU projects. Maybe you had a Horizon project before and you built on the results of those ones. How you are complementary with other actions, how you have synergies and co-benefits with other let's say sub-programs. And here you can describe now that you have synergies with biodiversity, because your daughter insisted, or the Gabi's daughter insisted of having the beehives there. And then also synergies with and co-benefits with other EU policies, for example, that you take care of the health of the workers because you reduce the ambient temperature in the logistic hub by greening it and putting nature-based solutions around it. So those would be then assessed in the co-benefits and the synergies. We go to the next slide where we look at the impacts. So here I already mentioned that we would like to see already a quantified baseline, but even more, we want to see quantified impacts, and quantified impacts during the lifetime of the project. So your proposal will be scored, or the score is dependent on both the ambition and the credibility of the impacts. So Gabi would have to describe very well how much CO2 is she does she intend to save with this? How many tons of fuel she will save on this? Maybe also pollutants, PM10 or PM25, so particulate matters, she reduces, which then would be a co-benefit and an impact on the air quality. Maybe the energy she re-injects into the grid and helps to stabilize for grid operators in the managing of the grid. So that is to be described very much in detail. And you can also see that we have for this award criterion a weighting factor of 1.5. So we put very much emphasis on this. And in addition, you would fill in the part C, the quantified impact, so that the evaluators see very quickly what is your project going to achieve. Then we are interested in the sustainability of the results. So we are not interested that you develop something for the shelf, demonstrate it nicely during the project lifetime, and at the end of the project, you shut it down. No, you should already describe in your action how you ensure the sustainability of the results for a technological project, or in this case of Gabi, we would like to see a business plan, how she is going to sustain what she's going to implement and not sell it afterwards, and how she exploits the results. And with the example, she was apparently connected with other hub owners, and this is where she exchanges, and maybe she thinks of a replication and the upscaling of this within the sector, or maybe even geographically, that she goes to other countries. So that is very important, where the proposal can show very good demonstration of the EU added value of your proposal. Next slide, please. So all this can be described very nicely in the general part, but the challenge is now how to translate those good ideas, good intentions into a solid work plan. So you have to describe in the first an overall logic, where you show the let's say the starting point. What do you need for in terms of preparatory activities? You need maybe still some permits, although we would like to have that already clarified before you start your project. And then you have your implementation actions when you really build your charging station, when you green your roofs and put your PV installation on top of the roof. So all you describe in your work plan, and the individual activities in the work packages and the task and subtasks. So you describe the objectives, the results, the activities, the division of the work, milestones and the deliverables, and the timetable for that. And again, on the right side, where we really scrutinize with our experts, is is it relevant? Is it clear enough? Is it feasible? Is the geographic focus appropriate of the activities? Then we would see about the stakeholder engagement, who is needed for this. When we talk about low emission zone and last urban mile delivery, maybe you want to involve the local authority as a stakeholder, because they're in charge of enforcing the low emission zone. You may involve maybe a research institute, because you want to help have help in the monitoring and the reporting of your results. You may want to engage then stakeholders in doing communication, dissemination, and visibility, because that is also very important, and you describe it then in your respective work package for that. Next slide, please. Resources. Resources not only about money. Resources, as you can see, is about the consortium setup, And we have seen many questions today. Is it okay to have one partner? How many partners do I need? Or should I have partners from different countries? Our advice is you have your objectives of your proposal. You want to reach targets. Who is needed for achieving those objectives and those targets? So, and the ones who are needed, you approach them and you include them into your consortium. So that will be the composition of your project team, and you describe them well. Why are they needed? What are their skills and responsibilities? And then you describe also the management structure, because we want to see, is your organization capable to manage such maybe even complex consortium? We would also ask you to put something on green management you put in place. That gives you also a couple of points. And then we get to the budget. The budget is the budget appropriate? Are the resources you assign to the individual tasks consistent with the work plan? Maybe you write also in the work packages what you require in terms of the resources and how you intend to distribute the money there. Maybe you have a big subcontract there or a big equipment investment and you describe it. And so transparency is the key in this. And at the end, we ask for the value for money. Is the 5 million you are requesting really worth the activities and tasks you are describing? And then there's a small chapter on the risk management where we kindly ask you to identify the risks the project could have and what are your mitigation measures. Next slide, please. Then there are is a chapter other, which is not applicable to us in life. There are certain declarations you have to fill in, also if you have financial support to third parties. And then there are a couple of annexes. Important is the detailed budget table, was described yesterday by my colleague Lisinia. You list the previous projects, and there could be others like letters of support and so on. Next slide, please. Again, here, the detailed budget table. It was shown yesterday already. So this you fill in. And in particular for big amounts, here you have the possibility to describe to us in more detail what are you intending to spend the money on. Next slide, please. So briefly of how do we now evaluate your proposal when you have sent your application to us. And here the remark that send your application or submit your application not at the last minute, do it maybe several times. So the application form is the same as last year, so that one has not changed, just to remind you on that one. But take very good care of what is requested there. So evaluation process. Next slide, please. Time is running. So just a brief overview of how we, in which arena you are or what the playing field is. Per year, we have something in the range of 500 proposals we receive distributed between the 3 sub-programs. You can see this, and this respectively something between 80 and 110 projects. So this is sort of an average across the years. It can divert from one year or the other, depending on the size of proposals we receive. And with those figures, you can estimate approximately the success rate of your proposal. So it's certainly better than in other funding programs, but competition has grown, and from previously a range of between 20 and 30% success rate, it's down to maybe 10 to 20% success rate. The EU co-funding rate was mentioned already several times. For most of the proposals, 60%, in some exceptions, 75%. Next slide, please. Then we will check your proposal whether it is admissible and eligible. So we do an admissibility check, whether the proposal was submitted really before the deadline and electronically. Well, with a system which we have, there is no other chance. We will only receive what you submitted there. Again, please not last minute. You can always update your proposal before the submission deadline. Then we look at whether the forms are complete, whether you have used the right forms also. That the text is readable, so not smaller than Arial 10 or comparable font, that you do not go beyond the 120 pages, which includes the instructions, so do not delete them. And we also check then the eligibility, whether the participants are eligible, the right member states are, I mean, you're from the EU member states or associate countries, about the consortium composition, whether the activities are really eligible and fall under the LIFE program, and whether the geographical location is correct and is right. Next slide, please. And then we invite external evaluators. They will evaluate your proposal according to the award criteria. And here, please read this chapter, even if you think it's maybe not important, because yes, it is, because it helps you understanding where to put the focus and what we really try to read in your proposal. So we have the three main award criteria: relevance, impact, quality, and resources, which I've shown to you. So take really care of this. In each of the criteria, you can receive maximum 20 points, but you have to receive minimum pass score of 10 points. When you now add up because we have an overall threshold, when you add up the points, you have to reach a threshold of 55 points. And this is more than the minimum pass scores in each of the award criteria. So you have to be better than the 10 points, certainly better than the 10 points, to be above the threshold. So that would add up to 90 points, and then we have 10 points we give for as special bonuses for projects which have particular synergies with other LIFE projects. For example, you can get 2 points for that. If the proposal is the project is implemented in outermost regions, and particularly vulnerable areas, you would be entitled to additional 2 points. When you build on the result of an EU project, maybe on a Connecting Europe facility project, Gabi maybe is building, then she could get additional points. If there are special catalytic potential of the proposal which exceed what is already described in impact, you would get additional points. And on transnationality, you would get additional 2 points. So here we sometimes get the question, should we have an international consortium? Again, it depends on your objectives. Transnationality gives you 2 points out of 100. So that is not really a lot. So it does not make sense to include a communication partner from a completely different country without having activities there. You would not receive the 2 points for that. So there you need to have actually activities there and with a partner from that other country. Next slide, please. Quick overview on the timeline, which is so that you know for your own business planning. So you have a proposal submission in September 2025. Then we will, until the beginning of 26, have the independent evaluation, which is a very tedious process because we would have a very fair selection, or we apply a very fair selection mechanism. And in March, end of February, in March, you will be notified whether you will be successful or not successful. And the ones who are successful and fit into our funding, they will invite to the grant agreement preparation phase, which is following the notification of applicants, and that will take during the month March, April, May usually, and latest by June 26, we will then sign the grant agreement by both parties, SINEA and yourself, and from July onwards you can start your project. So next slide, please, which is the last slide. So the final recommendations are, and you heard from the other project examples, start early, start now. Time is already flying. You should already have your ideas. Read the relevant information and consult also your national contact points. Focus on the objectives and build a credible intervention logic. Build a relevant consortium, not too many, but the ones who are really relevant. Link the budget to the activities and check the value for money. Follow the templates and all the instructions when writing the proposal. And submit. At the end, you can do the final polish, but make sure that your proposal is on the portal and that we receive your result of months of work, a lot of effort, and we also acknowledge this. And I wish you good luck with your submission of your proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernd. You are almost on time. And I think this was a very enlightening presentation that will give a lot of insights into the application and the evaluation process to our applicants. And now I think they know much better how to apply and what to expect from the evaluation, so that now really they have all the information they need to prepare a good proposal and to increase their chances to get funded through LIFE funding.